First, let's get the hardware announcements out of the way. Now, the new S24 lineup is almost identical to the previous generation with a few small tweaks. Now, first of all, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 for Galaxy chip comes to all S24 Ultra users worldwide. But unfortunately, if you are outside of the US, the S24 and S24 Plus only users will get the Exynos chip instead. Now, Samsung assure me that these chips perform the same as the Snapdragon chips, though I'll have to see it to believe it, and that it was due to supply constraints, which I also find a little bit hard to believe. It feels a lot like a cost-cutting exercise to me.
So I want to insert an observation into here, because when I heard this, I know what we, as in me included, are all thinking. Nobody wants the Exynos, Snapdragon is king, and I'm not honestly sure if I was allowed to do this, but whilst I got hands-on with the S24, the S24 Ultra, I thought I'd just do some quick benchmark tests to compare to my S23 Ultra, and the results were interesting. Now, first things first, Geekbench reports that the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 for Galaxy is an ARM V8, with more cores and clocks higher than the S23 Ultra, which we kind of expected. And the base S24 model I had also reported as the ARM V8. So I'm guessing none of those of us who had early access have actually seen the Exynos 2400 versions. Now, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 for Galaxy scores higher than the S23 Ultra, again, to be expected. But not only that, even the base S24 scores higher than the S23 Ultra, which was already a fantastic phone. So super excited to properly get my hands on all of these phones for testing, and interested to see how the Exynos chip stacks up.
There's a new completely flat display, which was based on user feedback with using the now slightly thinner S Pen being easier to use on a non-curved display, slightly better dent and scratch protection, with the device still weighing the same as the previous generation S23 Ultra. There's no extra weight savings here. There are 4 colors: cobalt blue, amber yellow, marble gray, and onyx black, and also some exclusive online colors. There's another blue, an orange, and a green, although the Ultra's version of the colours are all called titanium cobalt and titanium grey and so on. Now, with these colours you get a satin finish on the Ultra, but a matte finish on the regular S24 and the S24 Plus, which will give you a slight difference in what the colours actually look like. Oh, and another one, with the S24 Ultra you're getting Corning Gorilla Glass armour on the front screen, which is stronger than the previous Victus 2 and also reduces reflections by 75%, and with Victus 2 on the back. Now, in terms of the cameras, slightly disappointingly, there is only a small update to the S24 Ultra, which drops the 10 megapixel 10x telephoto camera and instead gets replaced with a 5x 50 megapixel telephoto camera, which uses pixel binning technology to give you a 12 megapixel 10x optical quality photo. So this gives you a 1, 2, 3, 5, and 10x optical zoom. Now, when it comes to nighttime photography, that main camera has 1.6 times larger pixels and a wider optical image stabilization. It also has a gyroscopic analyzer to use data for better image stabilization in the photo if both you and the subject are moving. And this was absolutely noticeable when taking shots outside. In kind of typical Samsung fashion, you shoot the shot, you wait for the image to process, and the resulting image, once it's applied all its kind of processing magic, was pretty incredible. Though it is difficult to see here in the video, it was a really dark space to shoot our video. In terms of other hardware changes, and for gamers, there is a nearly 2 times larger vapor chamber cooling system, which keeps the phone cool under heavy performance, like when you're gaming, for example. And for battery, again, slightly disappointing this year, the regular S24 gets an additional 100 mAh, and the S24 Plus an additional 200 mAh, with known changes on the Ultra. Now, Samsung are really focused here on getting a 50% charge in 30 minutes, and currently looks like they have no plans to increase the charging beyond the existing 25 watt for the S24 and the S24 Plus, and 45 watt for the Ultra. So there are a few changes to the hardware, but ultimately it does look the same as the S23 and the S23 Ultra. However, I was hoping that would mean the phones would fit into the same cases that they did last year, but also, as somewhat expected, they're ever so slightly different, so unfortunately, I'm going to have to go and buy yet another magback case for my S24 Ultra. So that is all of the hardware announcements, but let's get down to what's new in the software. And this year, of course, is very much all about AI. In fact, there is AI in pretty much every part of the S24 series of phones, except the one area that I'd certainly love to see an AI in, which is something like Google Assistant. But no, this year we are still getting a non-AI voice assistant. Now, what we do get, though, are some features which are impressively similar, but better in some ways than Google Pixel's features. Now, first up is call translation. This feature allows you to make calls from your S24 device to anyone else, including landline phones, and Samsung AI will automatically detect which language each party speaks and then live translate both sides of the conversation.
Of course, yes. What day, what time, and how many people?
For the 13th of January at 7 p.m. for 4 people, please.
Para el 13 de enero a las 7 de la noche para 4 personas, por favor.
Now, this happens in near real time, with a slight delay whilst it processes and translates what you're saying, and is available in 13 languages worldwide at launch. Take that, Google. But the good news is that this, and actually all of the features I'm about to show you, are available globally. Now, you can manually set the language, but call translation also remembers which language is used and saves it against the contact for future phone calls. And these translation features don't stop there. Now, Translate also comes through to the Galaxy keyboard, along with a number of other features. Now, you can translate what you write and the messages you receive in real time with the same 13 languages. You can also have it rewrite messages you type out into 5 different styles, such as formal, casual. There's even an emoji style. This also works with translation, so you can translate what you write first and then have Galaxy AI rewrite this to say it the way you intend it to be said in whatever language. And because this is built into the keyboard, it works in any app, messages, emails, social apps, everywhere. And all of these features, the live translate, the keyboard features, all of them are done completely on device using the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 for Galaxy chip. But that is not all. I'm being told that these features will eventually be rolled out to previous generation S23 and even earlier devices towards the end of 2024, but there are no confirmed dates on this, so of course take that with a pinch of salt. Next is Live Translate, which is a really cool feature for anybody traveling, where you can hold your phone out and even switch half of the phone screen to face each person and have the phone live translate your conversation. Again, this happens in real time, it's two-way and all on device. Nothing you're seeing here uses a cloud to process any data. There's a voice memo feature which can now semi-accurately, I would say, transcribe your voice recordings into text, and also now identify different speakers, so you can have a conversation with 2, 3 or even more people, and Galaxy AI will be able to transcribe exactly who is saying what. But here is where the next features come into play, and I really, really like these features. You can now take a whole transcribed conversation, maybe it was a long meeting, maybe a lecture, and now you can get Galaxy AI to organize your notes into something better. You can break it down into templates, automatically sort it into folders and organize with titles and headings and formatting and so on. And take it a step further. You can get Galaxy AI to summarize that conversation and turn what could be a lengthy conversation into just the headlines that you need to know. Now, this will be so powerful for anyone taking one to school or college or even business meetings. And because of the translation features, if you need to for any reason, you can translate all of that and reorganize and get a summary in any of those 13 supported languages. Now, next up we have Circle to Search, and this works with or without the S Pen, where at any time in any app you touch and hold the bottom of the screen, and now you can circle anything you see on the screen, and it will go off using combined AI and Google search to show you the results. Now, the smart thing here is that this works as an overlay on top of whatever app you're using. So after you spend an hour of, say, scrolling TikTok, you circle to search something, and once you're done, you can go right back to the app you're using without undoing all of your hard work, where apps, will sometimes scroll all the way to the top and have you start again or refresh, and then you completely lose your place. Now, the only thing this doesn't work for is on any DRM restricted content and apps like finance or health apps, which will store sensitive data. And Google Assistant, which used to be activated from holding the home button, moves to a swipe up from the corner instead. But these AI features still don't stop here. There's a few more with Android Auto, where Galaxy brings their One UI look and the whole feel across to Android Auto. You get the fonts, the wallpaper, the icons, just the whole look and feel comes over from your phone. And Android Auto actually becomes more useful. Now, if you're driving and you receive, say, 10 messages from your other half, you can ask Galaxy AI to summarize those messages, and it's contextually aware for your responses if you say, ask it to share your location or send your ETA back in a response. Now, some security and privacy updates now. These ones came from Samsung's announcement at CES last week, and this one is around Samsung Knox, which has a feature called Knox Matrix, which if you own multiple devices such as Samsung laptops, tablets and so on, will be able to lock down any compromised devices if you get a virus or somehow becomes infected to protect all your other devices. Now, I wasn't able to actually see this in person, so I don't know exactly how this works, but it sounds like a great feature to keep your data, your passwords and passkeys safe from outside attackers. And touching on privacy whilst we're here, all of the features I've talked about so far are done on device, so there's no cloud processing whatsoever. Now, there are some features which do, and if you really don't like your data being sent to the cloud so they can get, AI'd, you can check a box to stop any data leaving your phone. But On with the camera changes now, something I'm sure you're interested in seeing. And this year, Galaxy have a new Pro Visual engine. Now firstly, the post-processing that usually happens after you shoot photos now happens at the actual pixel level. And previously pixels were actually grouped together and then processed, which could sometimes give you some pretty questionable results. So now it's processing at the pixel level. Photos should be much better after processing has happened. Again, the AI kind of kicks in when you take a photo to recognize what you're taking a photo of, to optimize the quality. And the more you take photos of similar things, the more the camera learns the style and the type of the photos that you shoot to continually get better over time. And because Galaxy AI is learning and identifying what photos you're taking, this means you'll be able to search images with better accuracy, although we weren't able to get this to work in the kind of time I spent with the S24 on multiple occasions. Again, all of this stuff is done on device. Now what is not done on device though are Galaxy's new AI photo editing. Now we've seen some of this before from the likes of Google Pixel and features such as Magic Eraser, but Samsung are taking this and then something. You can circle things to remove them or even move people or objects around in your image, and you had Galaxy AI to use generative fill to fill in the space. Stuff we've seen before, I'm sure. Now you can also crop and tilt the image, and again, generative AI will kick in and fill in the missing edges of the photo if you want to shrink the image, which is pretty cool. And all in all, there are 12 different edit suggestions, from the portrait effect, erasing reflections, to even remastering the photo. Now these are all taken care of on device, but the generative AI fill stuff does use some cloud processing power, since you'll see they take a little bit of time to actually process.
Over to video now, and check this out. This works at up to 4K UHD at 60 FPS. Now it doesn't work on 8K, though I was told it does in our briefing. You can just tap and hold and it will slow down, and this uses generative AI again to create additional frames needed to slow an image down. Now as you can see, to begin with it was a little bit jittery, but once I gave it a moment, the generative AI feature kicked in and smoothed the video out. So this feature should give you higher quality slow motion video, and I like to think that this is perhaps the first step in getting slow motion video which is actually like legitimately good, since most slow motion video tends to be pretty awful quality. Now this was shot on the 5x telephoto and in low light, which isn't too bad, and you can do this to already slow motion footage for up to 240 FPS slow-mo, which is pretty crazy.
Now there are also some minor but important updates to how cameras are used by other apps. Now apps like Instagram or TikTok will all get direct access to hardware features such as laser autofocus, optical image stabilization, and Super HDR natively inside the apps.
You can pre-order from the 17th of January, on sale on the 31st of January, with prices starting at £1,249 for the 256GB Ultra model, £999 for the 256GB S24 Plus, and £799 for the 128GB regular S24.
Now which features are you excited about the most, or do you think this year was a bit of a letdown for Samsung? Let me know in the comments down below, and also find the link to catch the after show where I chat about my experience of what it was like to get to see the S24 ahead of general release. See you in the next one.